Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're putting a theory to the test. Can a mobile phone truly handle a high-performance PC game? We're going to find out by pushing the limits of the GameHub Emulator on a device powered by the MediaTek Dimensity 6300 chipset. This isn't just a simple demo. We're going to give you a deep dive into the performance of each game. The results might just surprise you. Can this chipset truly handle the demands of PC gaming? Let's find out. Resident Evil 6 is a cinematic third-person survival horror title that is quite demanding for an emulator. On the Dimensity 6300 chipset, the game runs at a sluggish 15 FPS. Despite this low frame rate, the experience is stable, with no graphical bugs found that would hinder the gameplay. Devil May Cry 4 is a stylish hack-and-slash action game that runs much better on the emulator. This classic title achieves a solid performance of 20 to 30 FPS on the Dimensity 6300. The gameplay feels incredibly smooth, and there are no graphical bugs present to interrupt the fast-paced combat. Dead Space 3 is a chilling sci-fi horror game that translates surprisingly well to Android. It runs at a very playable 20 to 30 FPS on the Dimensity 6300 chipset. The game delivers a stable and immersive experience, with no graphical bugs found to break the tension of its eerie atmosphere. Outlast is a terrifying first-person horror game that is a good fit for GameHub. On the Dimensity 6300, the game runs quite well, hitting a consistent 20 to 25 FPS. The experience is seamless and stable, with the game displaying no graphical bugs that would detract from its intense and horrifying atmosphere. Tomb Raider 2013 is a cinematic adventure that feels at home on this emulator. With a Dimensity 6300, the game maintains a highly playable frame rate of 20 to 30 FPS. The action and impressive visuals are a stable experience, as no graphical bugs were encountered during gameplay. Castlevania Lords of the Shadow 2 is a dark fantasy adventure that struggles with the demands of emulation. On the Dimensity 6300 chipset, this game runs quite poorly, reaching only around 15 FPS. Despite the low frame rate, no graphical bugs or visual glitches were found in the game. Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005 is a classic street racing game that is a perfect match for GameHub. On the Dimensity 6300, the game runs incredibly well, locking in a silky, smooth 60 FPS. This high frame rate makes for an exhilarating experience, with no graphical bugs or issues detected. Need for Speed Carbon is a classic racing game that performs impressively on the emulator. On the Dimensity 6300 chipset, the game runs very smoothly at around 50 FPS. The racing action is stable and a joy to play, with no graphical bugs to report. Need for Speed Underground 2 is a classic title that delivers an incredible emulation experience. On the Dimensity 6300, this game runs exceptionally well, achieving a fantastic 60 FPS. The game is perfectly stable and free of any graphical bugs or visual glitches. Burnout Paradise is an open-world racing and crash game that feels great on GameHub. On the Dimensity 6300, the game maintains a solid performance of around 50 FPS. The fast-paced action is highly playable, with no graphical bugs to ruin the fun and chaotic experience. GTA 4 is a huge open-world title, and navigating the gritty streets of Liberty City is a decent experience on the emulator. The game runs on the Dimensity 6300 chipset at a playable 15 to 20 FPS. While not a perfectly smooth ride, the game remains stable with no graphical bugs found. GTA 5 is an incredibly demanding title, but it's surprisingly playable on GameHub. On the Dimensity 6300, the game achieves 15 to 20 FPS. Performance can vary based on your settings, but no graphical bugs were found, making it a fun, if sometimes choppy, experience. Resident Evil 5 is a cooperative survival horror game that is a much smoother experience than its sequel. On the Dimensity 6300, the game runs at a playable 20 FPS. The action is stable, as no graphical bugs were encountered during gameplay. Remember Me is a stylish cyberpunk game that proves to be a bit challenging for the emulator. Running on the Dimensity 6300, the game averages 15 to 20 FPS. Performance is a bit rough, and unfortunately, minor graphical bugs were found, slightly detracting from the otherwise stunning visuals. Hollow Knight Silksong is a highly anticipated platformer that is a perfect fit for this emulator. On the Dimensity 6300, the game performs very well, running at a smooth 30 to 40 FPS. The gameplay is seamless, with no graphical bugs to be seen. Inside is an atmospheric puzzle platformer that runs flawlessly on GameHub. On the Dimensity 6300, the game performs admirably, holding a consistent 30 to 40 FPS. The minimalist art style is rendered perfectly and no graphical bugs were found, making this a stable and hauntingly beautiful experience. Naruto x Boruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections is a high-octane fighting game that pushes the emulator to its limits. On the Dimensity 6300, the game struggles significantly, running at a very poor 10 to 15 FPS. Despite the low performance, no graphical bugs were found. DreadOut is a chilling Indonesian horror game that is a decent experience on GameHub. On the Dimensity 6300, the game is quite playable, running at a stable 15 to 20 FPS. The game remains visually intact and free of graphical bugs, allowing you to fully immerse yourself in the tense and eerie atmosphere. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is an intense military action game that is surprisingly playable on this emulator. On the Dimensity 6300, the game can achieve a solid 20 to 30 FPS. The frame rate depends on your in-game settings, but overall, it's a stable experience with no graphical bugs. Just Cause 2 is an open-world chaos game that is a great fit for GameHub. On the Dimensity 6300 chipset, the game runs well, maintaining a steady 30 FPS. The performance is stable, with no graphical bugs to interrupt your destructive spree. And that's a wrap on our deep dive into the GameHub Emulator. It's clear that while performance can be a wild ride, the potential for PC gaming on Android is truly exciting. If you enjoyed this video and found the information helpful, please hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to VanZee Gaming for more tests and reviews like this. And be sure to share this video with a friend who wants to play PC games on their phone. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.